agus an Connealach agus an Pierceach, agus a good comrade. Umsi hasna, he mo God efik on poiste malakli, agus korom na hamasha, after Caru gone in, a tasharach harlashe, agus visa kopkoma, kedre hanando, korobos, in a torch, noon a year. Areshar Madgaret a Brisol Ugrach Realtas Hasna the Avim as the larger the half of the year of the Spehe Hoboshiat Agastaria the Realtas Hasna Fos the larger Avim the Sheikh on the Hertua Geirin the Iraqshit Riva agus an chaiman in Chinese margar an cairla had chin na bhfuil instaiduri brata nach an éire tá siad an go fórle tá éireann bhuismach hasna a gcónaí agus golisteach an áiteach nús teachú go lein nús Garman nó ní sceirníisteach go London a Westminster the Irish has shin and scale. Marilero Cogabe agrew and put it down. But being came out the Horamachia, you want Opadama near Africa, agus in India. Friends and Republicans, it's an honor and a pleasure for me to be asked to speak here at this wonderful memorial to the men who fought and died for Ireland. The East Mayo Brigade. 97 years after the Easter Rising, the feats that Connolly and Pearse and Clark and their comrades set out to achieve on that Easter morning outside the GPO Dublin, they've been highlighted, so the job has not been complete. Men, you must say, of tremendous courage. When Pearse stood on the steps of the GPO and he proclaimed the proclamation that Chris has read there, in arms, in the face of the world, in the face of the mighty British Empire, who were untouchable. Yes, people thought that they were crazy, but they took pride in what they'd done. They knew their fate. They knew if they were not to be killed in action, that they would be later put down by the British. And exactly what happened. The same British occupy Ireland today. They occupy the 6 northeastern counties who, regardless of what people say, are not free. The British crown is rampant still in Ireland. And indeed, it wouldn't wonder me if the 26 county state gets them back into the 26 again. It would not surprise us. Because Pearse said, if we achieve our aim, probably in 50 years they'll give it back. He wasn't far out. I see on this memorial here that some of the lads, John Corcoran and his comrades, from 18 to 23. Now, the Brits may have killed some of them, but they didn't do it all. Because the newly founded Free State of 1922 were no different to their predecessors in the British. They came along and newly founded, they executed Irishmen, starting with the 4 provinces of Mellows, Dick Barrett, Joe McKelvey, and Rory O'Connor. The following year, in 22-23 era, they've done the same thing. In nearly every county of Ireland, and there's one that's probably about the 6 northeastern counties that has suffered most than others, and that's County Kerry. And what happened at Ballyseedy Cross when they tried them to the 3, as your chairman here says, in June last Friday evening. Countess Bridge in Killarney. Bad workouts outside Carsiveen, and the Clashmelton Cave in northwest Kerry, where they pour car and petrol on them. Right through after the 20s, I suppose, we had the Free State and the executions that was condemned by so-called Republicans in the 20s. They turned out to do the same right through the 30s and in the 40s. And you have an example of that you have here 3 men who made the supreme sacrifice in this county. The hunger strikers. Sean McNeil in 1940 with Tony Darcy in Arthur Hill. Michael Gaughan and Frank Stagg, both in my own time. Yes, the Free State were no different to their predecessors, the Brits. And the last one to be executed was in 1944, was Charlie Kennedy from Kerry. So it was done under the Commemoration government, later Fine Gael. And it was also done under the De Valera government, who went in to Leinster House in 1932 and said that he'd fight it from within. And turned out to be equally as bad as those who were there before them. The 60s again, the 56 campaign to 62, seen Irishmen take up arms in the border campaign, in which Sean South and Fergal O'Hanlon were killed. And in around one time in the 60s, Charles de Gaulle seen it no longer viable to hold parts of Africa, and he gave them people their freedom. Later on years, we had Nelson Mandela, 26 years in prison, standing up for the black man's right in faraway South Africa. Could have signed himself out at any time, but didn't. Stood firm. That was applauded in America, in Dublin and Westminster. We had the knocking of the Berlin Wall between Germany and Russia, East Germany. And we see that Mikhail Gorbachev has the sense to give back their freedom to the Baltic nations. Again, that was applauded and welcomed all over the world, but no word about those 6 occupied counties. People will tell you that England has no interest in Ireland. If they haven't, it's all they have to do is get the hell out of here, because we don't want you here. We never wanted you here, and we never will want you here. And we don't want the 2 state governments, north and south, in which some more former comrades are very high at the top, both in Stormont and in Westminster, or in Leinster House. We don't want it. It will not work. And in recent times, the way things are going is purely to be seen that it don't work. With the so-called richness that was here for a while in the 90s, and how the people are suffering today because of what has been done. How our youth are suffering, how the elderly are suffering, how the mass immigration that I thought I'd never see again, which I had to do myself, and people along this west coast, from West Cork right through Clare, Galway, Connemara, Mayo, the county that we're in, Leitrim, particularly these counties, Roscommon, and right through on to Donegal, Sligo and Donegal. The west coast of Ireland, who were harshly hit with immigration in the 50s and the 60s. It's back worse than ever again. Yet these people have the gall to tell us that the live register is dropping. Yes, it is dropping when the people are immigrating. They're immigrating to countries that they wouldn't normally go to, far away Australia and Canada, and countries that in time to come will not be able to accommodate people. When we should have a nice living at home in our own country, when we have our two main resources given away, our seas and our land. The two main resources in Ireland, agriculture and fisheries, sold out, given away, just to get into an institution called Brussels. And our oil and gas, that's also being given away, but I don't think it was given away, because somebody got a good backhander out of that, and it wasn't the Irish people that the proclamation says that the wealth should be shared equally among them. There's no equality. The only thing for the working class people is that we are in the majority. We're in the majority, otherwise they'd be rid of us. We are the crowd that is paying everything. We see what the rich has got away with. The helicopter brigade, the crowd that was flying around during the so-called Celtic Tiger for some, the crowd that got wealth and backing from banks, and the developers who kept building for as long as there was no people to put into the buildings. The greed that set in is what I'm trying to say. Yet, all those are walking around free. And these people that are here today from the Dublin administration, I would like you lads and ladies to tell your old friends above in the Devil's House, Leinster House, that you won't stand up for what's going on. We won't stand up for what's going on. Because the people are expected to prop up and pay for what he's done. And I'd be asking people not to pay. And I told them myself in Galway County Council I wouldn't pay the household charges. And I didn't. And I didn't pay the septic tank charge because I paid once when I built my house. And that applies to most people. If it was level and across the board, and if they put some of those Fitzpatricks and the Pingletons, and I think that's what you should be doing today, is rounding themselves up instead of being here watching us, because we'll always be here. We'll walk away from this spot, but we walk away with a very clear mind and conscience. And they'll never be given in by the Irish people, the English rule in Ireland, until they're all gone. And even when we die off, which we will, and to be too bad if we didn't, the youth that are coming behind us will keep that flag flying. Suas an tred a hosa an piersoch agus an Conila. An tred a horsa T-ball Wolf Jones, the shop Jeff near the hall. Agus Shasta Suas and I Nadine Shaw. A Google line, a Jack Google line, a Stormont, agus a Westminster. Agus Ordnam America, with Jarka Milk Coppelson, fish in the Hostria Hall. Or we should hate, we cost Exasta Prisa Plianta, Ramila Margaret.
Ramila Margaret of Marsh. Thank you, Tom, for a very fine oration, which does not leave me much to say after that. But just listening to Tom speaking there brought a few little things to mind. And in conclusion, I would like to say that we stand here as the true bearers of republicanism. And maybe the Republican movement is going through a transition period at the moment, but it will rise up again and become as strong as ever. And I think when I look back on everything that happened and listening to Tom speaking, because when he spoke about Rory O'Connor and Joe McKelvey and Dick Barron and those men who were executed, on the 50th anniversary of their death, I happened to be in the cell of Rory O'Connor in Mountjoy prison, and the prison officer that opened the cell for me that morning said, "You're luckier than the man that was here 50 years ago." But further down the line from me on that morning were men who have sold out the Republican cause. Cosgrave and Company sold it out in 22, De Valera sold it out in the 30s and the 40s, and the Provost sold it out in the late 80s. McGuinness and Adams, they were the people who decided to become part of the British establishment. And it sickened me last night when I watched television and saw the British ambassador Dana Reid at the Memorial of Irish Republicans in Glasnevin Cemetery, and Martin McGuinness standing one side of him. That is the road they have taken. They were our comrades up to a certain point. But thank God there were men who said no in 1986 and who set about rebuilding the Republican movement. And if we do not achieve that ambition in our time, we will hand it on to a younger generation who will be even a greater generation of young Irishmen who will do that final deed for us. I thank you all for coming, and in conclusion, I'd like to say that Republicans like to have a little get-together after a commemoration, and down in the village, next to Tarpey Supermarket, there's a pub there, and there'll be some light refreshments, and you're all welcome along there afterwards. Goramila Mayo of Galir, and pop up the boat. Now conclude with our round of beer.